Immigration. This is another one of the biggest ones. He signed an executive order seeking to end birthright citizenship. The order will almost certainly face legal challenges. It already has, since birthright citizenship is enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. Yep. He also signed an order designating Mexican drug cartels and some other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations. That's a good thing. That's a great thing. I actually think he should declare some of these NGOs as terrorist organizations. Or at least, maybe not terrorists, but like organized crime syndicates is what they should be considered. Because they basically just aid and fund and execute human trafficking. A lot of these NGOs. And it's just like, you need to be just deemed like organized crime syndicate. He also declared a national emergency at the southern border, allowing him to use federal funding to construct a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border without congressional approval. It also allows him to station military personnel there. Let's see, that's a big one. Trump said while signing the order, people have wanted to do this for years. He also reinstated the Remain in Mexico policy, which required asylum seekers to stay in Mexico while their cases go through courts in the U.S., and he suspended the refugee admission program. Which I believe was the phone app where basically people that were caught and then just released into the country without being monitored. Had this app.
So I had the wrong idea of that. So I thought that was an app for basically like applying for, to get into the country legally. But yeah, no. Like now that I know what it actually is, like, yeah, no, get fucked.
Yeah, it's... Well, like what it did is it told them like when their court dates were and where, but it's just like it's a bullshit thing, and it enabled them to be in the country just free without being monitored.
Yeah. Give me just a second.
Okay. It's a good thing, but the issue is, what good is that going to do if we aren't going to go to actual war with the cartels in Mexico? And to be ready for that, we could barely handle it in the Middle East. True. That is true. I know that he has deployed the military because, again, national emergency. The military has been deployed. I think National Guard has been deployed to the border. And if he basically designates these groups as criminal enterprises and terrorist groups and stuff like that, there very well could be, open conflict, military conflict on the border between cartels and the U.S. military. And if that happens, then Trump will have he'll basically have the blessing of the American people for the most part to actively engage in warfare against the cartels, if that makes sense. And I think like Mexico and Central American countries will not have enough political or, let's say, electoral welfare on their side to be able to resist it. Like they'll kind of be forced to, to work with Trump in coordinating and logistics and allowing U.S. military to enter into the country. And they'll do it as like joint task forces and invasion forces and stuff like that with the respective countries. I'll tell you right now that like Bukele down in El Salvador will absolutely he'll partner with with the U.S. military like no problem. Be like, hell yeah, let's do this. So, but I think that bad things have to happen for that to trigger, if that makes sense. We waited for 20 more years of what the actual American civilians being in the front lines are. Yeah. We'll have to see. The Marines were sent to the border. Okay, so there is not just the National Guard, but the actual U.S. Marines have been sent, that's the fighting force that you send to the front lines of actual hot, theaters of war. They send Delta Force down to the border too, from what I've heard. Okay, so they have. It's not just so Trump's really actually legitimately militarizing the border then, which again that could very quickly turn into a hot conflict between the cartel. If the cartels are deemed terrorist organizations, that means that the military has essential authority to fire upon them. I don't know what I don't know what the rules of engagement are, like who has to shoot first.
I'm excited for the moment that the cartels start fucking, I don't I want us to pull out of all the like conflicts and like the side of the world. I want us to just be like, all right, let's start a new war, but this time our war is against Mexico, specifically the cartels in Mexico, which is basically all of Mexico.
Well, the politicians are, for the most part, bought off by the cartels.
Yep, and then I want us to just take Mexico, and just might as well just fuck it, just take Mexico, or take Canada, just North America is America.
Well, the problem with that, unfortunately, is that if you turn like Canada and Mexico and all these other countries into like the 51st, second, third states, they're all going to vote in opposition to whatever Trump represents. And you're going to get permanent destruction of any kind of MAGA as a result of that.
I'll make a mistake though.
The fucking pesky democracy gets in the way, I guess, But I guess you could make them like well, you could treat them like territories, like Guam or Puerto Rico, because they have like local democratic elections, but they don't get to vote in federal elections. So that's an option.
They also don't pay taxes.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of have like, they still have like pseudo sovereignty to a degree. So
I'm fine. I'd be fine with that.
Rosa supports the Monroe Doctrine. But yeah, we'll see. And let's see. So he did the remain in Mexico, Trump signature to immigration, blah blah blah. I have a few things about this. I mean, to me, like,
I believe we should conquer the world. I believe
that
our ancient homeland across the pond has been taken, and we must reclaim it. We must reclaim our ancient homeland.
One of the key things that he did was executive order allowing deportation of foreign students who express support for Hamas or Hezbollah.
Makes sense.
So, like, if you come to this country on a foreign visa and support terrorism, then you go home. That's kind of a no-brainer. This was a funny one. So this was a criminal alien during a deportation operation yesterday, who is going back to Haiti, the land of milk and honey, according to Conan O'Brien. Remember when Trump famously called Haiti a shithole country?
It is.
It is.
It is a shithole country. Everyone knows this.
Yeah, everyone knows this. They virtue signal that it's not.
They said that he was charged locally with rape and released.
Can barely hear it. How about now?
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Pause.
This Dominican.
Chat, we were so close to becoming England.
Yeah.
Chat, and did you understand? Like, when Elon says that, like, this was like a major pivotal moment in like civilization, I genuinely believe that.
There's no hyperbole.
He's correct. That's not a hyperbole. That's not like, oh my god, dude, we won. This is awesome. This is the best thing ever. No, that is like, there is no hyperbole in that. We were very, very, very close to becoming England. You know who's friends with Keir Starmer?
A lot of bad people are. I know that.
Kamala Harris.
Oh god, Jesus, dude. The whole like, I'm not covering it tonight, but there's like a whole thing about this. What's the country in Africa? Starts with an M, I think. Shit, not Rhodesia. I don't know, but it's some country down there. It's the one that they had like this ridiculous immigrant exchange program that they were going to do. But he's from there, and he like stabbed this girl like 20 something odd times. And that's like a big thing in Britain right now, is that story. And it's just like, yeah, like that.
Morocco?
Rwanda. Thank you, Viking. Rwanda. It's just this whole awful fucking thing. It's just like another one of those, like, linchpin examples of like why you don't let invaders invade your country.
Yeah.
But so yeah, this guy was like, he was like, Biden forever. Thanks you, Obama, for everything you've done for me, bro. I was gonna say, like, that's what he got. I think he might have gotten one of those Obama phones.
An illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
What?
Yeah, that's all I have. That's all I have on like the deportation stuff, except like a timeline, I guess you can call it. Right here, they said that the deportation flights began Friday. It was yesterday. They made 538 arrests and logged 373 detainees on Thursday. And then they made 8 arrests on Tuesday, Trump's first full day in office. Border Czar Tom Homan said. Tom Homan's like the guy who's famously like, when, you know, the question to like, you're going to split up families. He's like, well, the children can go with them. That's that guy.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, which made 282 daily arrests on average in September. Administration says removal will pick up quickly, though. ICE and Border Patrol agents have been ordered to deport people who cross the border without authorization immediately and conduct expedited removals. So basically, like, no courtrooms, no rights. You're just gone. Essentially, you cross the line, you get thrown back over the line. That's it.
Yeah. You're not a citizen.
I don't know if
you're not owed shit.
Yeah, I don't think it's in here, but he also like basically deputized like a bunch of other like satellite agencies. Besides ICE.
You're not a resident. You're not legally here. You're an intruder. There are no rights. You don't. Yeah. You're not owed any. Be gone.
And here's the thing. Yeah, there is like a prioritization here. They're not targeting like dreamer kids, you know, right now. You know, like they're not targeting people who haven't committed a crime besides being in the country illegally. Those are the
people that have record.
Yeah, they're going for criminals at least first, and then they're gonna, you know, dig deeper and deeper and deeper, essentially. But eventually, they are going to get to otherwise law-abiding people, a lot of which you have contributed to the economy by starting businesses and, you know, doing this, paying taxes, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how they pay taxes as illegals, but whatever. But, you know, it sucks,
if you own a business, but you have to pay taxes.
Yeah, I don't know how it works, but there's a lot of people that are otherwise law-abiding and contributing members of society. You know what I mean? And it's just like, but it's just, I sympathize, but deep down, all of those people and the kids that they had, all the dreamers, have known since day one, being in the country without authorization, that this was a risk that they were taking on a daily basis. You know, but they were counting on sympathy and leniency and all this other kind of stuff to allow them to, you know, stay in the country and stuff like that. But there's always been the risk of this happening. And this is, you know, on a long enough time scale, everyone's survival rate reaches 0. You know, to quote Fight Club. And it was found...
The law-abiding thing is mostly a myth? That's not true.
So...
Source. Me, my family. Pathos family.
There's a lot of members of Pathos family that they're in the country illegally, but they have done nothing wrong besides be in the country illegally.
Yeah.
And they could be deported in, who knows, months, maybe a year or so. We don't know, like, how fast this is going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's just like...
It's real worrisome.
It is worrisome, but...
It's one of those dreamers.
Yeah, but here's the thing, is that they've always run this risk. You know what I mean? It's on them. They're the ones who brought this on themselves, as harsh as that is. You know? And it sucks.
I don't think we're going to go about, like, dreamers are at this point adults, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like there's no reason for them to go back home with their family to a country that they've never been to, you know?
Well, he should go back though because, well, number one, the DACA stuff got ruled unconstitutional the day before Trump was inaugurated on the 19th. So the Dreamers don't have protections anymore. So, I mean, if they're going to get deported, at least they'll know their families. You know, at least you know, that's best case scenario for these people. But it's like the Dreamers were stuck behind a rock in a hard place. But it's just like, well, blame your parents. Don't blame the government. Don't blame Trump. Don't blame Holman. Don't blame the law. Blame your parents. Your parents are the one who put you in this scenario against your consent. You know, and yeah, it's harsh, but that's just reality. It's just like, sorry.
Something I don't understand though. It's like, how are you in this country for so long and you don't like eventually get your residency, eventually get your.
Well, because the application process is kind of fucked in this country.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is.
It's just really strange, right? Like,
it does seem strange, but it can take like more than a decade or more. It's kind of insane how long it takes to be able to get authorized. But it's just, it is what it is, you know. But in the meantime, all the stuff that he's doing up until that point, I'm totally for. Now, the birthright citizenship thing, that's a tricky one because that's like literally a part of the 14th Amendment. You can't just executive order that away. You know, that's not how this works. But it's funny, like watching like, you know, dumbass leftists on Twitter being like, he got blocked in the court, because that's what happened. Like some judge. Yeah. Let's see if I can find.
Which is valid, right? It is. Yeah, but this is basically like what I was telling like Panther about. Because we had like a disagreement about it. It's just like it really sucks, but the reality of the world is laws are made because of the bad apples.
Yeah,
laws
exactly.
are made for people into society. No, laws are made because bad apples do things that are wrong, and then you have to make laws to basically prevent them from doing those things that are wrong. So it sucks that like the majority of good people get fucking shafted by this, right? It blows. But that's just the way it is.
Well, the thing
is
that...
you can't blame the government for reacting to a problem. You can't blame the government for reacting to people, you know, abusing, right, birthright citizenship, right? People abusing all these systems to basically try to get into the country and stay in the country. You can't blame the country for seeing a problem and then addressing it, right? You have to blame the people that made it a problem in the first place. You know, it sucks. But that's just the way it is. Rules are made because of the bad apples.
Yeah, exactly. It's this. That's kind of like that's where the you have to go back phrase comes from. And yes, used kind of flippantly, you know what I mean? But that's what it means. Is that like we understand, we even sympathize, but you have to go back. You know what I mean? Like it's just like enough is enough. And the thing and the cold fact is no matter what your good intentions are, no matter how otherwise innocent you are, no matter how much you committed to your community or whatever, the fact is that you violated our sovereignty. You violated our sovereignty as a country. You violated our sovereignty as a culture, as a people. You came in without. The fact is that you came into the country without our consent, which means that we have every right to remove you from the country without your consent.
Yeah, it's true. It sucks, but that's just the way it is.
It sucks, but that's the way it is. Yeah.
I will say, like, one thing, it's like, here's the thing, right? I had a conversation with Faith also recently about, like, the difference between something being justified and something being okay. Right? Those are very different things, right? I think a lot of people come to this country illegally, and I think it's justified, right? It really is just do or die for some of these people, right?
Oh yeah, that's like the actual refugees, like actual people fleeing war and persecution, etc., etc.
In the case of Peito's family, her fucking grandpa fucked up with the cartels, right? So her family literally fled the cartels to come here, you know? So it's one of those things where you have to kind of be like, you know, I think it's justified. It really is do or die. It's do you commit a crime or do you die? Right? And I think it's justified that you do something bad in a situation. But because something is justified doesn't mean it's okay.
I will never blame somebody
there's
for...
no consequences. Doesn't mean there's no, it doesn't mean that they're still not going to have to deal with like the repercussions of those actions. It's not okay, and you can't expect people to just accept it because it's not. It sucks, but you can't just force your problems onto other people and then expect them to just accept it because you were justified in your actions.
Yeah, like, I will never, like, fault somebody for essentially acting in legitimate ways for their own self-survival. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I completely... Because that's exactly what I would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But actions don't happen in a vacuum. And they do have consequences.
Yep.
And that's just the harsh reality. So, yeah, that's... I think we're both on the same page here. So, but yeah, so this is what happened with the birthright citizenship thing. Was it says the federal judge temporarily blocks executive order to end birthright citizenship for aliens, which was expected. Yeah, and this is the thing. This is like the first Twitter post I found that's like, yes, this is the strategy. The strategy is to force it into the Supreme Court. That's the whole strategy of it.
They have majority. Yeah.
This will now likely expeditiously head to the Supreme Court where we have a majority. But it's not about the majority in this case. It's about its constitutionality regarding the 14th Amendment. More specifically, it's about the language, which is not 100% clear to include birthright citizenship. The 14th Amendment was not supposed to be interpreted the way that they claim for birthright citizenship. Yeah, it was meant for slaves. That's who it was meant for, because slaves were brought here against their will. And when they were freed, like, where do they go? That's what birthright citizenship was for the freed slaves. I expect the Supreme Court to rule in favor of Trump, but even if they don't, they might make significant changes to make clear. If the Supreme Court fails, which I don't anticipate they will, it will take congressional action to make any changes to the 14th Amendment. Yeah, and that's hard. Because you have to get like 3/4 of the Senate and like 2/3 of the states or something like that. You have to get like a massive, insane majority to be able to ratify something to the Constitution. Trump would need 2/3 majority. Oh, he said it right here. 2/3 majority in both the House and Senate, which he's not going to get, as well as ratification by 3/4 of the states, which he's not going to get. Which may be a high bar, but I still think it can be done. I
don't think so.
dude. Fucking J.D. Vance, the VP, had to cast a tie-breaking vote to confirm the fucking SecDef. That's how close just for the Secretary of Defense. Do you honestly think he's going to get that many people on the Dem side to sway to get 2/3 of the Senate? Like, it's just not going to happen. I mean, hell, there's probably some Republicans that'll defect for them, if anything. Like, I just don't see this happening. The Supreme Court is the only solution here. This is what Trump wants. He doesn't want his executive order. He wants the constitutional amendment. Yeah, or a reinterpretation of an originally bad interpretation of the current amendment by the courts. I think this is a little bit of hopium here, but they're right in what the strategy is. The point of the ratification process is that if any of the dissenting states decided to revolt over it, they'd be steamrolled in a week because of how outnumbered they'd be. Exactly. Exactly. Like, that's the thing. The founders were like pretty much all in their 20s and early 30s. And holy shit, were they smart. Like, damn. That's what's going on with birthright citizenship. It's an interesting thing. It's definitely going to get played out in the courts. It's not going to go anywhere legislatively. I think it's hopium to think that.